Good morning and welcome to BBC London News. This morning we'll be talking to Adrián Pintado González, an ICT student from the University of Murcia, Spain, who'll be telling us a little bit about his university experience. Hi Adrián, could you tell us about what mark you think you deserve and highlight some aspects you found interesting about your course?
Well, I think I deserve an 8, as I made a big effort to understand all the concepts of this course and to think of ideas and different approaches to do the tasks that we had to do in groups. In my opinion, it was a bit difficult to do everything online, but I tried to overcome the difficulties and work in a collaborative way with my classmates. I reckon the most important concept that I've learned about diversity is inclusive education, which states that education should be of all and for all the students, and that the uniqueness of every child should be something valuable, as everyone has different needs and strengths, so schools should be learning communities that include everyone. I feel that I've learned a lot of new things that I wasn't aware of before. For example, that the elaboration of a PDA is of paramount importance to know how to enhance the learning opportunities of ACNE and ACNE children. However, if I had to pick one thing that I've learned making this video, is that the LOMCE promotes the value of equity, which is a term very interesting for me, as I used to think that the solution to the problem was equality. But after having made this video, I have realized that the educational system should search for equity, providing every child with the education they need.
Adrián, we know that you had to make a video for your university course. Would you mind if we share it with our viewers?
Well, to answer this question, I would like to analyze our history, from prehistory era to our current system. First of all, in prehistory, diversity was believed to be caused by a demonic nature, as people weren't able to understand the reasons, and this sadly led to infanticide. Then, in the Middle Ages, the response to diversity improved as the first charitable institutions appeared, but the Inquisition still promulgated that people with a deficit were product of the devil. After that, in the 16th century, psychiatric obscurantism was replaced by psychiatric naturalism, the belief that the disorders had a base of nature. In the century, some philanthropics started to teach the deaf and blind. One of them was Ponce de Leon, who taught a group of children. The first educational response was just aimed at people with sensory deficits, but the abnormal ones were left behind. And from the 19th century to the first half of the 20th century, special education was born, but as a segregated system. Healthcare institutions were created to care for people with disabilities, but these buildings were very far from society and had limited services. In these services, the mentally handicapped were educated as well. This time, a line of medical pedagogical collaboration begins, and finally, with the work of Dr. Ida, special education is created, as he is said to be the father of it. The educational response was focused on the student deficit as an independent method, completely separated from the ordinary system. Eventually, from the 1960s, another way of seeing differences emerges, and the same rights are claimed for all people, demanding the end of the separation of students. Finally, the standardization principle emerges, which states that all children must have the right to lead a normal life and have the same opportunity. The ultimate goal of standardization is the social integration of all the members, abandoning the deficit model and focusing on integration. Integration represents the values of open schools, in which special and ordinary education are together. Finally, with the laws of 1990, the inclusive education emerges. Inclusive education states that education will be of and for all the students. With this approach, the teacher develops the strategies and all students get the help they need. This education focuses on the group, making students work together in solving problems, helping each other. Inclusion states that some values such as respect for everyone and equity should be at the core of education, and that the students should participate in the development of the curriculum, adapting the teaching practices to their needs, as individual differences are seen as opportunities. Well, first of all, I would like to mention the General Law of Education of 1970, as it was the first law that proposed the establishment of special education in classrooms in ordinary centers. At the core of this law is the concept of integration, which means to involve everyone in the community to which they belong. The differences between children were minimized to offer a unique education, and all children were offered to study in the same conditions, ending the segregation system. Then I would like to talk about the law which, in my opinion, has had the biggest impact on our attention to diversity, LOMCE of 1990. This law transformed the educational system as it started the comprehensive and inclusive educational policies. The educational response was tailored to the needs of the students, and the traditional curriculum changed into an open and flexible curriculum adapted to the needs of every student. This law was based on inclusive education, which overlapped integration, as the inclusive education recognizes individual differences as something enriching, and states that all students should learn together, in groups, leading to the construction of an educational community in which parents are included as well. Then we find the law of 2006, which continued with the principles of the LOMCE but going forward, including reinforcement programs from the first year of primary education and offering diversification programs in secondary education. Finally, we have the launch of 2013, a law that modifies the system, as it progressively offers different educational options, based on the strengths and succeed of the students. Itineraries separate the students in essence, making changes that are difficult to reverse, and with which I personally disagree. This law gives a specific response to all the students who presented special educational needs, differentiating between soft needs and severe and permanent needs, in which case the students will be schooled in special education centers up to 21 years old. Finally, I would like to point out that this law offers a wide range of ordinary and specific support measures, aimed at giving all the students with any specific needs the possibility to catch up with their classmates, and with the final goal of giving all the students the same education, adapted to their needs. Well, first of all, I would like to highlight some of the ordinary support measures in the Decree 359/2009. Without a doubt, this is one of the most important measures currently, as teachers should adapt the context and standards to the situation, and without modifying the stages' objectives, they should rethink their strategies and focus on the learning's objectives instead of the final product of the activities. They should also evaluate in a different way, giving more weight to the formative assessment and encouraging self-learning and self-evaluation. I truly believe this measure is of paramount importance in this situation, as the teachers should detect which students have difficulties following the course online and provide them with the support they need. For example, if a student can't connect to the online classes because in his family there are 3 children and just 1 computer, the teacher should arrange a time for him in order to solve all his doubts and give him the help he needs, as all students must have the same opportunities to learn. Teachers should find out the particular situation of every student and adapt the curriculum and their strategies to their needs, whatever they are. For example, if some students don't have access to internet, the teacher should provide them with a minimum of activities and support in order for them to get the basic competencies and objectives of the course. No one should be left behind, so teachers should find out a way to reach to these students by post mail or calling their parents to let them know what they should do to acquire the basic competencies. I would also like to mention some specific support measures of this degree. I think these programs are of vital importance in this situation, as these students should get the help they need to acquire the contents of the course and keep learning the language in order for them to be able to follow the contents of the ordinary classes in the future. These students are already in disadvantage, so it's very important to help them catch up with their classmates. Teachers should design specific programs for these students, adapted to their context, as these are students who already have problems to follow the ordinary educational program. They should make sure that these students are still following the course and that they have the opportunity to learn in spite of their economic or cultural situation.